Okay, so let's start. My name is Yiming Chen, and I'm from OriginLab technical support team. And I'm very glad today that I can present this webinar on batch analysis. So before start, I will still mention that so if you have any questions during the webinar, please type it in the Q&A panel, and my colleague Zhen Shao will help to answer your questions. And the recording of the webinar and also the project will be shared on our webpage like after next week. So just come back and check. And towards the end of this webinar, we will still run a poll. So please give us feedbacks, and we greatly appreciate that. And just to mention that we have another webinar in this afternoon at 2 o'clock. It's about generating reports. So please come back and join the webinar. Okay, so in today's webinar, I'm going to cover these topics. Basically, some like tips on doing a batch analysis. So I will first talk about some tips for repeated tasks, and I will also introduce some of the apps that's related to batch analysis. Then I will introduce this batch processing, which is one of the key features in Origin that can automate your tasks greatly. And the other topics will be like the batch process in peak analysis. And I'm also very glad to tell you about the templates involve Python. So this is a new feature into Origin 2021, and you please just go ahead and check it out. And also I will talk about the distributed batch processing. This is for like handling great amount of data. Okay, so let's start. So if we go to this repeated analysis on graph, let me first turn off this. Okay, so here is a graph with 8 layers. Each one has one data set in it. So basically in Origin, we can like do analysis on one layer, on one data. Then I would want to like repeat that operation on the data on other layers. So here we have like 2 methods. Let me do the first one. Let me first duplicate this graph. Okay, so in Origin we have this gadgets. So gadgets is like a small tool which is applied on the graph. So let me do a quick fit. Let's just do a simple one, linear fit. Okay, once it adds a ROI box, which is like a region of interest box on the graph, we can do some settings on this fitting. So basically, if I double click on the yellow frame, I can, for example, in this case, let me first just disable the this label box. So once I generate output, it won't add a report table on the graph. So let me also output. So let me output the fitting result into a worksheet. Okay. Let me just do these settings now. Okay. Then if I want to repeat this linear fitting to all the graphs, I can simply click this button and click new output for all layers. So what Origin does here, first it generates this like a summary analysis sheet. It contains the analysis result on all the layers. Okay. In this case, we do a linear fit on the graph. It just lists everything like the slope, the intercept, and etc. And the fitting statistics. Okay. So on the graph, you see like if I close this tool, it adds a fitted curve on all the layers. Okay. This is the one way to do do a batch analysis. But the one downside of this method is after the analysis, you are not able to change the settings of the fitting. If, for example, this fitting on this data set is not looking very good, but there's no way to change that. Okay, so let me go to the second example. So instead of using the gadget, I can run directly the linear fit on the graph. Okay, let's see. We can go to the analysis and doing a fitting. In this case, I'm going to do a polynomial fit. Again, the analysis is applied on the active layer. So in this case, it's layer 1. Okay, so let me just start with a polynomial order 1. Okay, and click OK. So in this webinar, I'm not going to talk too much about the analysis tool. I will go a little bit fast. So if you are interested in like curve fitting, you can check our other webinars on our web page. Okay, so it generates this report table and add a fitted line on top of the data. Okay, let me do this. So if I want to repeat this fitting to all the layers, I can simply click this green lock button and click repeat for all plots. Let's see. So the process bar is showing that it's like doing analysis on all the data. Okay. So once the analysis is finished, you see like it adds 8 green locks on the graph, which means the polynomial fit is done on 8 data sets. So one good thing about this method is that if we say like the curve fit on this graph doesn't look very good, I want to like change settings. So I want to change the polynomial order. I can say change the settings of the fitting. So it's layer 7. So I just click the lock on the layer 7 and let's click change parameters. Okay, I can change the polynomial order to like 3, for example, and I click OK. So you'll see the operation on this data is updated. So this is this like a batch analysis method allows us to to reset the fitting parameters in this case. Okay. So this is a different method, so you might be interested. Okay, so now let's go to the next example, repeated operations. So in this case, we have this 6 signals, and they are like very noisy. So if I want to do the smoothing on 6 signals, I can start doing the smoothing on first data. Okay, let's select the signal 1 and go to analysis, signal processing, smooth, open dialog. Okay, here, yeah, I just like put some window size. I'm using the this smooth method. I can click the auto preview to check the result. Okay. Once I'm satisfied, I click OK. So now the smoothing is done on the first column, Y column actually. So if I want to repeat this operation to all the other columns, I can simply click the green lock and click repeat this for all Y columns. Okay, so the smoothing is done on all the other columns. I can use this mini toolbar to show the spark line. Okay, so like this repeat for all Y columns feature is exists for like the analysis which has one Y column as input and one Y column as output. Like for example, like integration tool, like a differentiate tool, like normalization tool, such tool in Origin. You can apply these duplicate analysis to other columns. Okay. Okay, now let's go to other example. So in Origin, we also have different apps that can help you to do the batch analyze. So here is the gadget replicator. So on this graph, I have this spectrum with many peaks. So I want to calculate the area of each one. So the normal way we do this is we have this integration gadget. If I choose the integration, I just leave the default settings. It will put a window on the graph. Okay, let me do some settings. So output, I just want the append to worksheet. Okay. So yeah, we'll see what that means. What that does. Okay. So if I want to generate the result of the area of this peak, I click this button and click new output. It will create this worksheet which contains the like a peak information. Okay, if I want to go check the second peak, I'm going to have to move this window and the new output again. It will append the new peak information to the into the worksheet. Okay, so it's kind of tedious if you like move the windows and do output. So here we have this gadget replicator tool. Okay, let me first turn off this. Okay, if I just click this tool, oh sorry, the here. Okay, you can set the Windows the start position. Like let's start from 1. Okay, and I can set the window size like 2. So window size 2 will cover the peak. Then I will just move the start X of the window 2 at a time. So the end X is at 21 in this case. Okay. Then I can just simply click OK. So this tool will like automatically move this window and do integration. And once it finished for all the peaks, it will generate this report. Okay. This is kind of another way to do a batch analysis on the graph. Okay, now let's go to another example, speedy fit. In the first example, I showed you how to duplicate the linear fit tool on the graph. You must feel that it's kind of a little bit slow. Like in this case, we have, say, 96 XY values. And I want to do a curve fit to all of these columns. So we have this speedy fit tool app. So let's see how it worked. I just fire up the app. And in this time, I'm going to do a nonlinear fit, and with this allometrics 1 function, and I can click next data to check the fitting result. Okay, and it's just initialize the parameters. I can click fit to do the fitting. Okay, let me just click OK. Once I click OK, it will run the fitting to all the columns in the worksheet and generate a summary result sheet. Let's see. Okay. So once it's done, it generates 2 result sheets. So in first result sheet, we have like a list like each XY data and its fitted parameters and fitted statistics, and also whether the fitting is success or not. Okay. What is more interesting is the speed fit curve report sheet. It contains a graph of the fitted result. Let me double click to open this graph window, and I can make it smaller. So you can check the fitting result like one at a time by clicking the button, and you can go to here is like a list of the data, and you can check. Okay. So this is a tool to do like a batch curve fitting on like a multiple XY columns, and definitely go and check this app. Okay, now let's go to next topic, batch processing. Okay, so batch processing is the one of the key features in Origin, so that you can enhance your analysis speed greatly. Okay, so the idea is kind of simple. So if we start with a empty workbook and we import data into the workbook and run some analysis on the data. So there's one concept in Origin is that the analysis on the data is saved in the workbook. So with that said, if I have a workbook with a saved operation, I can bring in different data and rerun the operation. So that is what we call the analysis template. So use this analysis template, we can do batch analysis. We just keep putting data into the workbook and run analysis. So I will start with a simple example. I will just show step by step how to generate this analysis template. Okay, starting with this empty worksheet, I'm just going to import some data. Okay, let's click this import ASCII. Let's go to this sample data file. Okay, let me choose this sensor one. Just use the default settings to import the data. I just mentioned that the all of the data I used in this this webinar is from our sample data, so you can just simply play with it. Okay, once the data is imported, the import settings of is saved in the workbook. So that's like a part of this workbook and later the analyst template. So I'm going to do a linear fit. Okay, just to do a simple linear fit. Just use the default settings. Click OK. Okay, it will generate this report sheet. So you must have known that the green lock here indicates there's an operation is done. Okay, I can click the operation, the green lock, and set the calculate mode to auto. Okay. Next, I'm going to generate another sheet. Okay, let's generate another sheet. This is like a I will give it a name, a result, the result sheet. It will contains the some of the fitted results. So let me, for example, I just copy this fitted parameter and put that into the column header, and I put the fitted result, the values, also copy it. And I just use Control C to copy. And here I'm going to right click on the cell and select paste link. Okay, so you'll see if I double click on the cell, it shows the a link to that in the report sheet. Okay. So this way, once the data the original data is changed and the analysis is rerun and these result is changed, then it will update the result in this sheet. Okay. I'm also gonna just copy this graph and go to result sheet. Let me add one column and paste. Let me try it again. Copy. Paste the link. Okay. So now we are sort of like done with the template. So we can simply check this template by, okay, I just want to duplicate this workbook, and I can go to the curve, go to our data. I just import another data. And you will see something show up here and the analysis is performed again, okay? So just a good a suggestion here is that anytime you want to do batch processing, you need to test the analysis template before you do the batch analysis. Okay, you will see the fitted value is updated. Okay, if you are satisfied with this template, I can go to Worksheet, and I'll just clear the worksheet. Okay. Now I right-click on the title window title bar and go to Save as an Analysis template. Okay, let me go to the desktop and say go to this batch analysis, and I'll give it a name like linear regression template. Okay, so I save it as an analysis template. Okay, now we can run the batch analysis. So here is the batch processing button. You can also come to File and the batch processing. Okay, so yeah, this is the this dialog is kind of overwhelming, but first is like in this case I'm using a analyst template. Okay, so I'm loading a analyst template. So you can also import data into existing analyst template in the workspace, but in this case I just save the analyst template. So for the data source, I'm going to import from files. Let me again click this button to choose the let me copy this first, then go to batch processing. Okay, let me find the other files. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to do sensor 2 all the way to sensor 7. Okay, so the data file will be listed here, and the data set identifier. So each one has different name. So the file name can be a good data set identifier, and the for the data sheets. So in this case, we use sensor 1. Sorry, I choose a wrong template. Batch analysis. Yeah, this is the one I just saved. Okay. So for data sheet, I'm going to choose sensor 1. Okay, sensor 1, and I will use the result sheet here. So what the result sheet here means is after you run the batch analysis for all the data file, the analyzed result in this result sheet will be combined together to generate a summary sheet. Okay, so in this case, I just delete intermediate worksheet, and the result will be generated in let me give it a name, book name summary 1. Okay, for now just click OK. So you will see the batch processing is performed on all the data files. Okay, now it generates this summary worksheet. So it's basically the result from the result sheet and combine them together for all data sets. Okay, so if you want to check the details of individual analysis, you can select a row and click Open Books. It will open that the analyst template with the data feeded in. Okay, so sometimes people may want to do some change on the data. Like for example, I just mask part of the data and click this button to mask. It will rerun the analysis. So if I go to the summary sheet, I just click update. I have to select this row and click update. You will see this result is updated with the new values. Okay. Another thing you can do is sometimes you want to make some change to the analysis template, and you want to rerun the batch processing. So you can click this reprocess button. Okay, let me just simply show you. So this is an analysis template. I can make some changes. You may already know that I can use change parameters to change the settings. Okay, here in fit control, I'm going to fix the intercept. Click OK. Yes, since there's no data in here, but yeah, you just know that the analysis template changed. So I have to save the analysis template again. So I just overwrite the analysis template. Just click OK. Now, if I click reprocess, it will rerun the batch processing with the updated analysis template. Yeah, this reprocess and update feature is newly added in Origin 2019, I guess. Okay, so now you see the intercept are fixed to 0 for the fitting because the analysis template has changed. Okay. Okay, now let's go to next example, clone import. So in last example, I show you how to use the batch processing. Let me. So I use this batch processing tool to run batch process. So in this time, I'm going to show you how you can also use clone input to do batch processing. So I'm going to make a more complicated analyst template. Okay, so first of all, let me import some data. Okay, let me import the 2D binning. Okay, so this contains the XY data. Okay, so we know that you can check the statistics by doing like a histogram on the column. So in this case, I'm going to do like a 2D histogram. So I'm going to use this statistics, discrete statistics, and the 2D frequency counting binning. Okay, and I will just do some settings. Like I want the bin start and the bin ending to be 1 and 100 for both x and y. And in this case, I will just want to check the count of the number in the in each bin. And instead of output to a worksheet, I'm going to output to a matrix. So you see here in this case, a worksheet is also involved. A matrix is involved in the analysis template. Okay, now I get this matrix. I can now do a contour plot. Okay, I make a contour plot. Let me turn off the contour line. Okay, so this is kind of like I can do a chaining of operations. So this is a result of one analysis. Then I'm going to do a surface fit on this contour. Let me go to analysis and go to fitting and go to nonlinear surface fit. Okay. So you must have known about the nonlinear fit dialog. Okay, I'm just going to do it much faster. I will just choose a Gaussian 2D. Okay, and another thing I'm going to choose is the output. I'm not going to create a report table on the graph. So for the result table, I'll just turn it off. Then I can click this fit button. Okay, let me just click OK. Okay, it generates a two matrices. One is the fitted curve, and one is the residues. And it also generates this report sheet. Okay, I can make some adjustment on the graph, so I can choose a different palette, and I can make it less levels, say 10. I can change the contour line to be red. Make it a sticker. Yeah, just do some adjustment on the, oh, that's a good idea. Let me change a different color. Blue, okay. Okay. What I'm going to do now is that I want to combine all these worksheet together into one workbook to generate an analyst template. Okay, so here is my raw data. I'm adding all these sheets into this raw data sheet. So I'm going to it's okay. Let me right click the sheet tab, and I'm going to first add the matrix. Okay, the matrix is added to the workbook. Then I'm going to add the graph. So I add a graph as a sheet. So the graph is added to the workbook. Then I'm going to just drag this worksheet into this workbook. Okay, now this one is useless. I just delete it. Okay, this is just to make another analyst template. Okay, I can check the analyst template. I duplicate the template and let me. I can import a different data and just to check whether the template is valid. Yeah, I will just use this data. Okay, so yeah, you see the analysis is not done because I needed to set the recalculate mode to auto, and also for the feeding, I will set the recalculate mode to auto. Okay, if I go and check, okay, so you see the analyst template is actually working. Okay, that's good, and then I can do a clone import. Okay, if I click clone import, what this do is it just if I select multiple files and add and click OK, it will just put the data into this workbook. Okay, it will just make a duplicate the workbook and put the new data in and generate reports. Okay, so make sure the template name here is clone and click OK. And you will see the operation is getting updated. Yeah, we just go check this graph. You see how this data is put into the template and like duplicate the analysis and generate new result. Okay, great. Let's go to the next example. Import multiple files into sequential sheet. Yeah, I have to say this this is like a very complicated analyst template. So in this workbook, if we have like these 5 input worksheet, so the if we just check the data, so each data is like one peak spectrum. So I first import all the spectrum in the workbook. Then for each sheet, so for each data, I run a Gaussian fit. Okay. So I run a Gaussian fit, and after I finish the Gaussian fit for all the spectrum, I create this summary data sheet, summary result sheet. So each the fitted area for each spectrum is copied over from the fitted result sheet into this summary sheet. So you can check this. It's a link to other sheet. Then I'm going to do a linear fit on this summary sheet. Okay, generate the final result. It's kind of complicated. So what I'm studying here is just to check how the area of each spectrum is changed with the temperature. Okay, so if I remove the data and create this analyst template, let me just save this analyst template. Like batch analysis. Okay, let me do multiple multiple sheet template. Okay, let's save this. Okay. Now let me do a batch processing with this analysis template. Notice that in this case, we have 5 input files instead of 1 in previous example. Okay, let me go again, check this, click this batch processing button. Okay, so let me choose the template. This time it's multiple sheet template. And let me check the it's under, I think it's under batch processing. So it's CSV file. Okay, I'm going to choose all the temperature spectrum, the spectrum of different temperature files under this folder. Click OK. So dataset identifier is still file name. So, but in this case, you see the input data sheets. I set it to auto, and instead of one sheet is one data file is imported. 5 data files are imported in this template. Okay, the result sheet, I'm going to choose the result sheet, and let me give it a different name, and click OK. So in this case, I'm just going to show you that you can have multiple data files as input into an analysis template. Yeah, you're not like constrained to just one data file. Yeah, so it took some time for this analysis to finish. Okay, again, it generates this summary result sheet, and if you check the input of the data, each one has 5 data files as input. Okay. Okay, now let's go to next example. Batch processing on image. So in Origin, we can also do batch processing on matrix, not just on worksheet. So we know that image is imported into Origin as a matrix. So in this example, I'm going to show you how to do batch processing on images. So we start with a matrix. Let me go to data and import from file. This time I'm going to choose image to matrix. Okay, so I have these image files. Let me just add one. Okay. So the image file is imported into Origin as a matrix. So I'm going to do some analysis. Before first I'm going to convert the image into data. Okay. In this case, I'm going to choose data type as byte 1. Click. Yeah, let me choose the recalculate mode to auto. Okay, I can also put this matrix into the matrix book. Then I'm going to do a surface fit, nonlinear matrix fit. Again, let me choose the Gaussian. So in this case, we have like 2 Gaussian peaks. So I can go to advanced and check the replicates to 1. So 2 Gaussian peak will be fit. Okay, just click fit. Okay, it generates the analysis result worksheet and also 2 matrix results, one for the fitted curve and one for the residue. Again, let me make a graph from this a matrix book, I have already saved a graph template. So basically, I'm just going to template library and select a graph template. Okay, it make this nice graph. Again, we can like let me close this. We can combine all these result sheets into one to generate the NS template. So let me so if I go to the matrix, I will activate the input matrix. Right click and add a matrix, and right click, add the graph. Okay. So now this is another NLS template, but in this case, the input is the image. Okay, I can let me duplicate this to check the result. I can go to data and input from file, image to matrix. Yeah, let me just choose a different image. Click OK. So you will see the image is updated. And oh, this is not. Yeah, let me click the green log, change it to auto, and it will run the service fit on the updated data. Yeah, because this is like image processing and fitting on a matrix is a little bit slow. Yeah, you see the graph is getting updated. Okay, so use this NLS template. You can run batch processing on a image or what do we say, like an image into a matrix. Okay. Okay, good. Let's go to our next example. Batch peak analysis. If you have attended the previous webinar on peak analysis, you may have I showed in that webinar a complicated batch peak analysis example. So in this webinar, I'm going to just do a simple one. So here we have this graph with multiple spectrum. Each one has a peak. So I'm going to analyze the peak. In this case, I just want to calculate the area of a peak, but repeat that for all the spectrum on the graph. Okay, this time I'm going to use the use the peak analyze tool. Okay, I will start with one spectrum. So when the graph is activated, I go to analysis and peak and baseline. Peak analyzer. Okay. So by default, the active spectrum on the graph will be selected as input for the peak analyzer. Okay, so I will choose the integrate peaks as the goal, and go to click next. And the baseline, or yeah, I just use the minimum as constant as the baseline. Yeah, click next. On the peak finding page, I click find to find the peak. So 2 peaks are found, but in this case, I just need one peak, so I can increase the window for local maximum method. So click find again. So 1 peak is found. Okay, it's good. And click next, and I will show this integration range. So in this case, I'm not going to check the integral curve. I will just check the integration results. Okay. If everything is okay, I can click finish to run the peak analysis on one spectrum. So before I click finish, I'll just save this analysis, the peak analyzer theme. So I will save it as a theme. Okay, let me say peak in theme. Okay, click OK. So the theme will save all the settings in the peak analyzer tool. Okay, let me click finish. So it will show this peak analysis result, like the peak area and the peak height, center, things like that. Okay, so now I'm going to use that saved theme to repeat the analysis on all other curves. Let me first delete these two data sheet. We're not going to use that for now. Okay, so with this graph activated, I then go to this analysis, peak and baseline, and I choose batch peak analysis using theme. Okay, so in this case for input, I'm going to select all plots in active layer. Okay, and make sure all the spectrums are included as input. So for theme, I'm going to choose the peak int theme I just saved. Okay, so for result sheet, it's integrate result sheet. Okay, so again, I'll give it a name, different book name for the output sheet, and you can, yeah, I don't want to check its detailed analysis, so I just check this box. It will delete the intermediate result. Okay, other things like a dataset identifier. In this case, I guess I can use the sheet name as the data identifier. So click. So and yeah, I just leave other things, other settings as it is, and click OK. So the peak analysis will be performed on all the curves on the layer. Okay, so it has this result sheet. So we can, if I want to check the area as a function of the center position, I can simply I can simply move this center to the start of the as a start column, and just select the area and like the width, height, and plot it as a function of the center. Okay, let me go with a stacked plot. Yeah, just leave it as it is. Okay, you can see how the peak height is decreasing with the center position, and the width is increasing, and the area is increasing then decrease. Okay. Okay, now let's go to next example. The NS template involving Python. Okay, so this is this Python thing is we improved Python in Origin 2021. So I'm going to show this in 2021, Origin 2021. So in Origin 2021, we improved Python so that we can add Python script in the set column value dialog. So in this case, this is actually a request from a customer. He has this XY data, and he wants to do the regression clustering on the data. Origin doesn't have this tool, but we know that we can write code in Python to accomplish this. So here, let me just turn on this set column value column, the dialog. So if you take a look that we add this tab Python function. Okay, so we can add Python code into this tab. So here I create a Python function called cluster. So there's a lot of code here, but you don't worry have to worry about that for now. But in before formula script, I can use that function defined in Python to set column values. Okay, now the column C is calculated from this column A and B using this function. Okay, so once I've done this, it can also be as a analyst template because it has this operation saved in this workbook. Okay, so if I want to, for example, I have other data sets, other XY data, and I want to also do the same analysis, the regression clustering, I can yeah, you may already know that I can do a clone import. So in this case, I can select other data set and run this batch processing. Okay, make sure the template name is clone and just leave it. So I mentioned this example because this is a great improvement of the origin in terms of the functionality. So if you can use the Python code to generate analyst template, okay? So see how powerful it is to expand the functionality of origin with the help of Python, okay? Now let's go to our last example, the distributed batch processing, okay? This is also a very useful tool. So this is very useful when you want to handle a large amount of data. So when you have like hundreds of data files and want to run batch processing. If you do a normal batch processing during the process, you just see that process bar and you have to wait until the analysis finish, and then you can do other tasks. So here we have this distributed batch processing app. What it does is it will distribute this analysis to other origin instance, and these analysis will be put in the background. It will not affect your current work. So let's see how it works. In this example, I already make this analyst template, and I have these like 100, almost 100 data files I want to process. Okay. So once I fire up this tool, I can select an analyst template. If I go to, it's in the desktop, and go to batch analysis, and in this case, it's a distributed batch. And I select this template. Okay, then I will choose the folder. I'm just choose the same folder, which contains that 100 data files. Click OK. So in this case, they are all CSV files. And the data sheet, this is almost the same as the batch processing tool. Yeah, so the result sheet is the result. Okay, so you can specify the number of instances of origin. So the maximum here, I can choose 4 instances. Okay, let's click run and see what happened. Okay, so I have 100 data files. It will distribute the 100 data files into 4 origin instances. So each one will handle 25. Okay, so you will see the process like a progress bar here. And what's nice about this tool is in the process of this batch processing, you can close this tool and you can do other things. It will not affect your current work. And you just make some plot. Yeah, you do some other stuffs in Origin. And you can always go back and click this app to check the process. So this is really nice that you can run batch processing but not affect your current work. Okay, so you can always come back and check the process. And you will also find that if you distribute the tasks into different instances, the analysis speed is greatly enhanced. Okay, so once all the data files, in this case we have 100 files, the analysis is done, and yeah, it still needs some time. The summary button will be activated, and then you can click it. It will generate the summary sheet, the same summary sheet as you do with the normal batch process tool. Okay, it lists all the data files and the analysis result. You can also click anyone to check the analysis detail. Okay. Okay, so I think this just summarized the today's webinar, and we still have some time. Please do a poll and give your feedback and suggestions. And yeah, especially if you have suggestions for batch process and good ideas, please contact us. We can look into whether we can improve or we can make an app out of it. Yeah, thank you for attending this webinar.